Dear ladies and gentlemen of Hotel Arts Barcelona, today we're going to present to you our decision support system. This is my partner Ana Maria and I am Yannick, and we are happy to guide you through our dashboard today. At first we tried to visualize as much data as possible, therefore you can see big chunks of data on only one sheet. The data mostly represents the last month of purchasing data, but in this case the most important KPIs that we assign to the engineering department are its total expenditure, which is the highest of all the expenses from all departments in Hotel Barcelona. The category expenditure, in order to find out what the engineering department spends most of their money for. A supplier performance, which is going to give you feedback on whether suppliers are reliable or not, and a contracted versus non-contracted supplier ratio that tells you which suppliers still have the option to be bargained with.
And I'll guide you through our first chart, which is the total expenditure by month. As you know, the engineering department is the department which has the highest expenditure during the year, so that's why it is very important for you to know where the money goes and in order to control your budget. As the budgeted amount for the last quarter, including the months of October, November and December, is 23,000, but when we make the total sum, as you can see in the graph, the actual budgeted then becomes 26,407, which already we can see that the budget is exceeded by 3,470 euros. As you can see during the October, the expenditure was 7,514, in November 15,000, which is the highest amount, and maybe in December is the lowest amount of expenditure, as you can see, because during the month of December in the hotel is the lowest occupancy rate.
The next graph shows decision-making support for the expenditure by category. This means that Hotel Arts, or in this case you, the engineering department, now has a better overview on what the actual expenses are spent on. And what we can see in this graph is that for the last 3 months, most of the expenses have been going out for the general building. Now we know we have spoken to you last month about this, and we have by now figured out that the general building costs are only higher due to renovations in November, but they are also the reason why the budget was exceeded, as we saw on the last slide. Other potential factors that most of the money is spent on are tools, electronic merchandise and air conditioning.
On this slide you can see the supplier performance. On the dashboard, as you previously saw, it shows both the on-time deliveries and later deliveries of the suppliers. You can also in the dashboard show which supplier failed to deliver on time, also by month. But here we made a summary which shows only the late deliveries of all of the suppliers. As you can clearly see, there are 3 suppliers who failed to deliver the material on time, which are the Ferreteria Barcelona, EUNASA and Azul Costa. This information also will help you to come up with the conclusions about the supplier performance and whether to keep them as a contracted suppliers or to terminate the contracts with these particular suppliers.
Which is what we have designed the last diagram for. Here you can see which suppliers are already contracted and which suppliers have not been contracted yet. And in combination with the earlier chart, it is possible to therefore strengthen relationships with not contracted suppliers and decide, hey, maybe we want to contract with this supplier because he has been on time all the time. But then on the other side, those suppliers who have been late frequently, maybe we shouldn't be contracting with this. This is going to give the engineering department great influence over prices, since you will be able to bargain with your suppliers.
And finally, we will come up with our recommendations. As you previously saw during the first chart, it was already shown that the actual budget exceeded the forecasted budget by 3,407 euros, which will mean that when forecasting the next quarter budget, the engineering department should cut the costs by 3,400 euros. The next recommendation we will give you is that you have to control the expenditure on the general building materials, because as you saw during the presentation, most of the expenditures goes for this category, so it really needs to control the expenditure.
Furthermore, we would recommend to terminate contracts with those suppliers who have a really, really bad performance. And on the other hand, better contract suppliers that have a good performance, and you now have the ability to see which suppliers are already in contract and which are not, and therefore you should use the new visual data in order to bargain with suppliers.
So we would like to thank you for your attention, and we really hope that our recommendations will help you in the future to be more successful.